Today's podcast is brought to you by Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. You never know what tomorrow may bring. That's why it's important to get the right insurance coverage today. At Kentucky Farm Bureau, we deliver the protection and peace of mind your family deserves. In fact, we've been providing folks in the bluegrass with dependable service since 1943. To request a free quote, find your local KFB insurance agent at mykfbagent.com. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment. Welcome to Kentucky Farm Bureau News, the podcast. I'm Tim Thornberry, editor of the Kentucky Farm Bureau News magazine. Our guest today is John Newton, who is the Republican Chief Economist for the U.S. Senate Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry. And today we're going to be talking about the growing ag trade deficit and maybe some things that we can turn that issue around. You know, I look at everything you put out on LinkedIn, John. I appreciate you helping us with the story. We've been talking about the trade deficit, and it looks like it took a bump with the May report from the USDA. Can you explain a little bit about that? And was that bump expected? That big of a bump, I should say?
Well, the February forecast from USDA's Economic Research Service had a trade deficit for fiscal year 2024 in the neighborhood of 31 billion. And then the most recent forecast that we saw just this week, they updated their projection for imports. They increased that by about $1 billion or so. And that reduced the trade deficit to negative 32 billion, which again is the largest trade deficit that U.S. agriculture has ever had in history. We've only had 4 negative trade balances going back close to 60 years. So obviously it opens some eyes a little bit on where exactly trade is and for U.S. agriculture. We know trade's so important for the farm economy, and to see a negative trade balance is certainly concerning.
Do you think did it surprise anybody to see those numbers updated like they were?
No, because I think USDA, they came out with their first projection back in February of this year. And really, the trend for horticultural products, we import so many horticultural products, whether it's fruits and vegetables, wines and spirits. That's really the factor that's driving this negative trade balance. That and lower commodity prices for grains and oil seeds is reducing our export value. So you combine those two, it wasn't unexpected, but I think with a farm bill in front of us and all of our stakeholders have been asking for years, we need to double MAP and F&D funding so that we can go out and find and develop new markets. Our producers have the highest quality and best food available. There's no reason why we can't send food around the world and have a positive trade balance.
Speaking of finding those new markets, what are the efforts being made by the administration right now to do that?
Well, I think folks would like to see more. Obviously, they'd like to see the administration proactively say, we'd like to go out and negotiate better market access in country A or country B or country C. We need to see, barriers to trade reduced. We need to see opportunities to sell products in those markets increase through higher TRQs. And we really don't see that right now out of USTR. They'd argue that Congress hasn't given them trade promotion authority, but they haven't signaled that they want to go out and pursue those trade agreements either. So I think what we have seen happen is Secretary Vilsack has tapped the CCC to do some additional trade promotion work, and that came at the request of Senator Bozeman with Senator Stabenow, seeing that we had a relatively static trade agenda. Let's do something to go out and find and enhance our competitiveness in some of these markets overseas. So Secretary Vilsack did do that. But I think more is needed, and more is needed in the long term. That's why the Farm Bill is so important, the opportunity to increase the investment for MAP and F&D.
John, we've been sort of holding back on doing a farm bill update, wait until we see some of the action that was going to take place. And I know the House markup just came. Are there some real things in the House version that can help slow this trend as far as the trade deficit goes? What's the House bill saying about trade?
Well, what the House has done, listen, they've listened to stakeholders. I know Chairman Thompson has had a number of visits around the country, listening to farmers, listening to producers and agribusinesses. And they said, look, inflation's hitting us too. We need our MAP and FMD dollars. We need those increased so that we have a long-term investment in our trade promotion and market development resources. And that's what you saw come out of the House markup. It met the moment for what folks have been asking for, and that can certainly help to reduce this trend in the long run as you develop those markets. But it has to be in coordination with enhanced access in markets around the world. Make sure that we're as competitive as we can be in those foreign markets. So I think you have to have the dollars there to do the promotion and the market development. B, you have to have the markets available to you. And that can help reduce the trend. And then I think the third pillar of that is, you have in the horticulture space and the fruit and vegetable space, some countries are able to produce these products with very, very low labor costs. And it's hard for U.S. producers to compete at the grocery store when you have labor costs as low as they are in some of these foreign markets.
Mm-hmm. John, speaking of competition, I know that it is a world market, and we're seeing South America, and particularly Brazil, really kick up the production a notch and really getting a bigger share of that world market. How concerned are we over that? We always know our producers are the best in the world, but when it comes to dollars and cents, some other places may not look at that. What are we hearing, or what do we think about this growing competition from South America?
I mean, I think it's been something that folks have had their eye on for years. It's not only are they planting more acres of corn or cotton or sugar or soybeans, but they're also putting a lot of money into the infrastructure side. So that when they harvest a crop, they can get it to the export market quickly. They have the second safrinha corn crop that helps them be very, very competitive. But one of the things that I think when you talk to our farm groups here in the country, not only do we have the highest quality products in the world, but we also do it in such a sustainable way. And that's not something that a lot of our competitors can say. I mean, you look at the Cotton Trust Protocol, the things that they do there. You look at the conservation practices. The Farm Bill provides $6 billion a year for farmers to do and adopt conservation practices, whether it's things to help conserve soil, whether it's cover crops or no-till. The Farm Bill provides a vehicle for all of those investments. So again, not only are we the highest quality, but we're also doing it in the most sustainable way. And that'll make us competitive long term.
John, looking at that, I know none of us have a crystal ball, but do you have a sense of if we can sort of turn this boat around and get things moving back in the direction we want them to go?
I'm an optimist, and I think you can never count U.S. agriculture out. Farmers and ranchers are, they're innovators. So, yeah, I think we're definitely going to get this thing turned around. I think, again, with the Farm Bill, with the investments in MAP and FMD, that's critically important. But you can't take your eye off a strong domestic market, too. And we do have a very good domestic market here at home, especially when you think about the biofuels. We need to get this sustainable aviation fuel and the tax credit thing figured out. But that's an opportunity, too, for a lot of our crops in the Midwest. So you've got a very, very strong domestic demand, but we have to get out there and find and develop those new markets. I know our trade partners, they want our product. Senator Bozeman travels around the world And when he's in foreign countries, they talk a lot about how they want to buy U.S. agricultural products. So I think we'll meet the moment and we'll reverse this trend. But certainly when you see a $32 billion trade deficit, it's eye-opening.
Made a lot of people nervous, hadn't it?
I spent, a good part of my career at Farm Bureau, and I used to brag when I would travel the country that ag is one of the few sectors of the economy that contributed to a positive trade balance. And unfortunately, 4 out of the last 6 years, we've had a negative trade balance. Never as big as it is projected to be now, but, since 1965 or 66, whenever the data that USDA has, first came online, we had a positive trade balance. We were sending product all around the world. And now we're importing, at least on the horticultural front, sugar and tropical products, we're importing more than we're exporting by a large amount, and that's contributing to our overall negative trade balance.
Mm-hmm. John, here's the $1,000 question that I don't know that anybody has the answer to, but we really need a farm bill sooner than later, don't we?
I mean, you can give me $1,000 right now. The answer is yes. We need a farm bill. Look, when you consider that for a lot of producers, it's going to be the most expensive crop that they've ever grown. We all saw what interest expenses have done because of inflation, out of control spending that we've seen the last few years. Interest expenses are up 70%. Machinery's not getting any cheaper. Repairs aren't getting any cheaper. Subscriptions for your machinery aren't getting any cheaper. Labor's not getting any cheaper. I mean, you go down the list. Everything is more expensive today than it was when we did the last farm bill, and it's cumulative. So you're consistently paying more for things. At the same time, we're seeing commodity prices fall. While there's a little bit of optimism right now in the corn and soybeans and the cattle space, we've seen prices come down from where they were, and that's a concern when you start to see those margins squeeze. I think if the latest University of Purdue Ag Economy Barometer, folks are nervous to make new investments right now because margins are tight, they're uncertain. So absolutely, we need to get a farm bill done. We need to enhance the risk management tools that folks depend on. We need to make those investments in ag and rural America so that folks can feel confident in making those investments back home and that their lenders are confident that they've got adequate risk management tools. That's what Senator Bozeman's been trying to do for years. With the release of his Farm Bill framework soon, you'll see his priorities. And again, the whole effort that the Senate Republicans are trying to do is put more farm in the Farm Bill, and we need it now more than ever.
Well, we've certainly seen on that side some movement. What about on the Democratic side? I tried to read some of that dissertation they put out, and to be quite honest, it was difficult for me to understand most of it. Any word on when that might get some movement?
Well, you've got the markup out of the House, which had 4 Democrat votes, which is fantastic for those Democrats to make this a bipartisan bill out of the House Ag Committee. We've seen the framework from Senate Democrats that makes a lot of investments in nutrition, a lot of investments in climate and conservation, and not a whole lot of investments in agriculture and farming and ranching. So I think our views are a little bit different. We'd like to see more farm in the Farm Bill. They don't put much more farm in the Farm Bill in theirs. And then there's some really concerning things that they do, in the climate space, creating new regulations for confined animal feeding operations who, already have a mountain of red tape to deal with at the state level. They want to make it more difficult for them to use Farm Bill conservation programs. I think there are a lot of things that, in there that folks are concerned about, but our goal is to, once our framework's released, we're ready to work. We need to get something done for agriculture, rural America. The Farm Bill expires, at the end of September. We just need a willing dance partner. But I can assure you that Senator Bozeman knows how urgent it is to get this done.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed and keep following it, and hope that that's the case. So, John, listen, I really appreciate your help as always. It's always good to talk to you. I check out your LinkedIn all the time. You're putting a lot of great information out there, and I appreciate it.
Always happy to be a resource. Whatever I can do for you guys and Kentucky Farm Bureau, you guys are always great to work with, and I'm sure you'll be coming to D.C. In the not too distant future. So I hope to see you then.
If all goes well, we'll be there, or at least on our annual trip. But hey, get a chance to come to Kentucky, come on back home. We'll make you feel right at home here anytime.
It'll be in the Yum Center is where I'll be. How about that?
I know where the Yum Center is. Absolutely, John. Well, listen, thanks again, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Thanks so much for listening today. You can find all of our Kentucky Farm Bureau Farm Life podcast on your favorite podcast platforms.